Hi, welcome. Today I'm going to be doing some plant chores. I have a few plants that need some love. Some plants are new. Some, like this one, has been around for a while. And so I've decided that I'm finally going to sit down and do some repotting. So I have about 4 plants today, but let's see how much I can accomplish with time. Let's get right into it. I don't have a lot of time, so let's get started. I'm going to start with this Ficus Tineke. I have more than one in my collection. I have two. One of them is a lot bigger than this. This one you can say is a rescue. My mom bought this one some time ago. Well, when I bought my big one, and she didn't have enough light. This plant needs a lot of light. So anyways, I've had it for about, I think 2 years now, and it's quite small. For some reason, this one is growing very slowly when I compare it to my other one, which is growing a lot faster. But anyways, this one, if you can tell, I will try to show you in the camera. The soil is old. Do you know old soil? At least on the top. Can you see that? On the top, it's a bit white. It's a bit crusty, The soil, at least on the top, looks a bit old and crusty. So I'm just going to change the soil. Not all of it. I first have to take a look. So just going to remove that top layer that I don't really like, because surprisingly, the rest of it actually doesn't look too bad. And I just think the plant also needs a little bit more soil in the pot overall. So I'm just going to add some more soil, but also a little bit of coconut husks just to help aerate the soil just a little better. This is a sign of underwatering with this plant. It gets brown on the leaves, and overall it's doing okay. It does tend to get like pests very quickly. I do have it right next to my fiddly fig, which always has spider mites, always. But I gave it a nice wiping down yesterday, so it looks good. So this soil is a bit wet, and I don't mind. I watered this plant a few days ago, like a while. Usually I need to water this plant every single week in the summertime. It lives right underneath my south-facing window. I'll insert a clip on one of the sides to show where this plant usually resides. And so it usually needs watering very frequently, but it's December. Like outside is not getting a lot of sun, not as much sun as I would like. So it's taking a while for the soil to dry out. So this is something to keep in mind with your houseplants. Don't just water every week just because you water every Sunday and it's Sunday. So water, check your plants first. My favorite way to check smaller plants is to lift the pot. Lift the pot. When you first water your plant, feel the weight of the pot to see how heavy it is. And then that way throughout the week, you keep lifting to feel what the plant is like as it loses water. And then when it feels really light, to give it a drink. All right, so the soil itself, I thought the soil was old, but the soil actually is pretty good. Like, the soil looks good. I think I just need to add some chunks. I actually got this from Costco. So if you're ever looking for chunks, look for this at Costco. I think it was $50, and it came with two of these squares. So my mom and I split it. I gave her one of the squares and I kept one. All right, so I'm just going to add this. This again is just to help the soil to breathe a little bit better. I find it's a bit too denser than I would like. And it's just going to also add some volume to the soil without me having to add more soil. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm actually a bit low on soil right now, and I have a few other plants that I need to tackle. All right, just adding a little bit more. I'm gonna mix it in. I'm gonna pop this out. Ficus Tineke is like, they're like your regular ficus plants, you know, just put it at the bottom. They, you know what? When I first got this plant, it was so easy to care for, and it still is easy, but I think I started to overcomplicate it. Does that happen to you sometimes? When you start overcomplicating things with your plants, when you start overthinking. Okay, so I have filled up the pot. Can you see? I've filled it up, and the reason I've done it up so high is because when I water it, the soil will sort of go down a little bit. See, the chunks really helped to, you know, add more volume. So I'm just gonna pop this on the floor. Perfect. Okay, plant number 2 is a plant that if you watched my last plant haul, well, not my last plant shopping video, one that a plant shopping video from a few videos ago, my philodendron video, that's what it is. If you checked out my philodendron video, you will see that I picked up this plant. Yeah, this is a philodendron white wizard. I got it from my favorite nursery, and I got it some time ago, and it seems to be in a mixture that I don't really like. I can't tell you what, but it seems to have the soil mixture. It has, I don't know what it is. Can you see those little, like, it's like there are fibers in it, and I'm not a huge fan of those fibers. And the soil seems to be a bit dense, and I don't like the mixture it's in right now. So I'm gonna put it into my mixture that I know and I'm comfortable with. And I know I don't like it because I find the plant is taking too long before it dries out. And someone may say, what? Don't you want to reduce waterings? Of course, I would love to reduce waterings if my plant is living in water. So if my plant is living in water, yes. But if my plant is in soil, I don't want the plant to dry out, take too long to dry out, because it leaves room for root rot and overwatering. So if you look here, you can see a little bit of unhappiness on the leaf there. That looks like too much moisture to me. And so, especially now that we're in winter, there's less light outside. Although I did recently install some grow lights and I put it under the grow lights, but still I want this to dry out a little bit faster. But I see some nice fresh white roots, some new roots here. And if you just wanted to see this plant up close, this is what it looks like. It's not a lot right now, like it's still a baby, it's still really small, but I will put up a picture of a mature plant. And I'm just gonna put it right back into this pot. I'm just inspecting the pot for pests, and I don't see any pests. So we're just gonna pop it right back into the pot. Just gonna scoop some up. And I forgot to bring my perlite. My perlite is upstairs. I'm in my basement, by the way. So I'm just taking the husks off. Maybe I can put it here. I'm gonna try not to squish my plant. Anyways, I'm gonna take some of the husks off, mix into my soil, and then hopefully I'll make enough for my next mixture. So what have I learned since I've had the White Wizard? They don't like to completely dry out. I would say the label that I have here is correct, like about halfway, because I noticed it slows down in growth. And I noticed it doesn't like too much humidity either. I've noticed that so far. I haven't had it very, very long, so I'm not going to pretend like I can give you the 411 and I know it all. I just got this plant, so I'm still learning it. But so far, that's what I've noticed. If you have more tips, do share them down below. I do feel like so far, it hasn't grown super quickly. for me. It's a little on the slower side, but again, it could be because we're in December and I was relying on my windows, the sunlight. But like this year, I don't know what it's been like in your city, but in my city, it is so cloudy and so dark. Please tell me in the comments if your weather has been like this, or if you've had the sunniest December. Please let me know. I hope the sun is somewhere. I hope someone out there is enjoying sunshine. I would like to think so. That makes me feel good to know that not everyone is sitting in the darkness like I am. I live in Canada, by the way. Yeah, Canada gets very dark in December. So I popped it in here. I think I may have more husks than I would like, but that's okay. If it's in a terracotta pot, like it would dry out really fast, but in a plastic pot, it'll still take a little while to dry out. So I'm not too worried about that. Perfect. And that's it. That is it. Super light, very light. So now is the time that I remember, I think about, okay, this is really light. Then when I fill it up with water, I'm gonna take note, mental note, what it feels like full, and keep that in mind for whenever I need to water it. Okay, so that's it. That's it for this plant. And we've got a little baby one coming up there. Again, it's on the slower side so far, but it could be the time of year, right? It could be, but I will give you an update on how they're doing. How do you like the video so far? Good? Like what you see? I know, me too. I love houseplants. If you like this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you like this one, I have a strong feeling you would like the other videos on my channel. So you can subscribe by clicking right here or here. I'll put it up for you to subscribe. Okay, let's keep going. Let's go on to the Philodendron White Princess before I tell my story. So I've had this plant for a little while now, and it's given me this gorgeous, gorgeous leaf. So again, this is the Philodendron White Princess. And I really like this one. Unlike the wizard, that one only came with one plant in it. Even if I tried finding some with multiples. So like when I buy a plant, I try to find a pot with multiple plants inside. That way, if one plant kicks the bucket, there are more in there that you can work with. And it just makes a fuller pot as well. But anyways, yeah, so it's given some green leaves. This is the leaf that came in my care. And then I was having, like I mentioned, I've been having a very dark December. And so I got a pure green leaf here. But you know what? I don't mind. I don't mind because this leaf shows me what this plant can do. So one dark leaf, that's fine. Look at this leaf, this baby one. Look at this fully half moon leaf right here. Can you see it? I hope you can. It is so pretty. So pretty. Like, it is so nice. But this leaf has been around for a while, so it's sort of dying out. But yeah, so that's this plant. I watered it recently, so it's nice and heavy. But I've never, just like the other one, just like the wizard, I've never taken it out of its pot since I've got it. So I'm just gonna take a look at it. We'll take a look at the roots and see what they look like. So it's also, it seemed probably came from the same grower. It has those little pieces of fibers of something in it, which I'm not a big fan of. And it's true this plant doesn't like to dry out, but I don't like my roots sitting in such wet soil. I don't like it personally. I give my plants a lot of attention, so I rather go back and water them than have them sit in wet soil. So this is just a little too dense for me. Like there's nothing for aeration in here. There's not even perlite in this. Like I said, I don't think this plant likes to dry out. Not that it'll lose leaves. I don't think it will. I think it's on the hardier side, but still, I don't want it to be sitting in such chunky soil. I'm just going to keep just a tiny smidge of this soil. I don't want to disrupt the roots too much. I don't want to go at it too much. And the roots were starting to come out of the bottom a little bit. So I just want to reshuffle everything and stick the roots back up into the soil. I want to rearrange those roots and make sure that there's soil at the bottom and that they're higher up in the pot. So I have enough of those chunks in there, so I'm not going to add any more of those chunks. I'm just going to add some more soil. Okay, so I'm just going to mix this in. I think this is enough. And I'm just going to put some inside the same pot. Okay, perfect. And you could, most times I wash it out, but today I'm a little lazy and the plant has been doing well. It's not showing any sign of like any stress like bacteria on the roots where you get like spotting on the leaves. It looks fine. So I don't think I need to wash out the pot. Not going that extra mile today. And so I'm just gonna fit it back in here. There we go. No roots sticking out. I put about this much of soil at the bottom. And now I'm just going to backfill. And before I put them back in their homes, I'm just going to give them a nice rinse, wash them really well, wash off the leaves. Yeah, and there we go. All done. Perfect. When I wet it, the soil will sort of go down a little bit. And that's it for this plant number 3. Wow. And then the new leaf, there's like a tiny new leaf growing here, coming out. But right on the tip, there's a pink tip. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm hoping that this leaf will have pink. I mean, it could very well be just the outer parts of this, because that's how you know this is a white princess. The white princess plants get pink, white, and green versus the white knight just gets white and green. So that's how you know the difference. So it could just be that, but I choose to be hopeful and I want to believe that the next leaf will be pink. So let's go now for plant number 3, and that is my Philodendron Jose Buono. And again, if you saw my philodendron video, you'll see when I picked this up, we have been off to a rocky start. And so the reason I say that is because of down here. I think I have maybe I might have overwatered it down here, if you can see that. This leaf was already like this when I bought it. And so, yeah, it's showing some signs of what I think is overwatering, but I think this is also burn as in, I can't remember the word for it, but it was really close to the window. And I believe that this is a response to the cold draft coming in from that window. And so I think that's what may have contributed to that. But I don't know, it could be overwatering, it could be that. But anyways, when I saw that, I was like, so I got some grow lights. I'll show you a picture of my setup. Yes, and I put it under there and it's been doing a lot better. As you can see, this one has a lot of variegation. Like, oh my goodness. Like, I actually don't reach for the plants with this much variegation. I usually try to get a little bit less variegation. I know that sounds like counterintuitive, but I am very aware of like all the leaves with high variegation, that takes away the plant's ability to make food. And so the plant is going to grow really slowly because it is producing food at a much slower rate. So only half this leaf is making food, pretty much not a whole lot of this leaf, and half this leaf, not very much of this leaf. And as you can see, my last leaf is an all white leaf. So as pretty as it is, it is actually a liability to the plant. And this is wet. I just watered it not that long ago, but again, I find that it's holding on to that moisture for longer than I would like. Again, for this time of year where there's not a lot of sun out, I know I have grow lights, but still, I don't like my plants holding on to this water. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of coconut husk. You already know the drill. Let's see. So the roots don't look too bad. No mushy roots. They look okay. Not white, not super white, but they look okay. And so I'm just gonna take off. Wow, that's just a lot of soil. The root system is not very big on this. But anyways, it looks like it's pushing out some new shoots here. Looks like was starting to multiply. Can you see that? So that is great news. But I'm going to be super gentle because I don't want to break off these shoots. Examining for pests. No creepy crawlers. Perfect. I'm going to put this back in. I'm just going to add a little bit of fresh soil that's already been mixed up. I'm just going to use a little less of the coconut husk. Oh no, did I break it? I didn't. You know, I have a history of breaking the new shoots. Remember my Raphidophora decursiva? Not the decursiva. Yeah, the decursiva. And I broke that off. Happily, that plant is quite forgiving. Check out that video if you know. So in my favorites video, I may or may not have snapped a piece of new growth of one of my plants. It's a spoiler alert, my Raphidophora decursiva. So I'm trying not to do that with this plant. The decursiva, it's such an amazing plant. It's an amazing plant. I'll see if I could get a picture of that plant to show which one I'm talking about. But I love that plant. It's really nice. Very fast growing, very satisfying. It's a beautiful plant. I actually do have a video on the care for that plant, and I talk all about it. You could feel free to check it out. Anyways, the reason I said that was because I snapped the growth, and I'm trying not to do that on this. But yeah, this is done. All right, and this one is done. This is all set. And I'm just going to give them a rinse and put them back in their homes. That's it for today's repotting video. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed my content. Thanks for watching. See you next time.